I think I've finally
Mhm.
found Look at me. Wait, I don't get a gavel?
You can.
And no one is
Why
gonna give
is
you a
it better?
gavel.
No.
Gavel. Just slacking.
All right, I shall call the convening of, who are we? The Regional District 13 Board of Education School District Climate Committee to order. We will start, as always, with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any public comment as I look over the sea of participants? No. Is there anybody online?
There is nobody online right now.
Okie dokie. Number 3. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? And so let's give her a vote. What's the proper words for this?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Number 4, Kim.
All right, before we
Yep.
go to number 4 and hand it to Kim, for our transcriptionist, if we can just go around and do intros, that will help her for the minutes. Kim, if you can start.
Kim Newbig, Director of Finance.
Jen King, Director of Student Services and Special Ed.
More Board of Ed.
Sydney Leggett, Superintendent.
Linda Darcy, Board of Ed.
Lucy Petrello, Board of Ed. Christine Cowan, Board of Ed.
Jennifer Almodovar, parent.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay, so once a year, we have to go through our wellness policy for, this year, we're actually having an administrative review of our school lunch program. And part of that is to have a strong policy under wellness, but also to make sure that we're adhering to it. So looking at this, there's no vote or anything on this, but just gonna ask you to run down quick. And just, are we doing this thing that we say we're doing? I've already, the nutritional guidelines for school food, got that covered already. So really, it's the first nutrition, education, and promotion. And then on the second page, physical activity. If we're not doing it, we're gonna take it off policy. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just, I don't wanna say we're doing it if we're not doing it. Reviewing smarter lunchrooms, tools and strategies. Not quite sure what that is, but setting an average weekly minimum time for classroom nutrition education. So is that being done in health? Yes, okay, good. Including nutrition as part of health education classes. So that's a yes. Integrating nutrition education into other core subjects such as math, science, language arts, social science studies, and other non-core electives. I do think that we do.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if there needs to be a percentage or some sort of
Nope.
extent, but
No.
yeah.
Providing a minimum number of hours per year of training to classroom teachers on how to integrate nutrition. I would say that's health PD.
Mhm.
Okay.
But it's not classroom teachers.
Well, I think that counts for.
I think they are classroom
Yeah.
teachers. I think.
Oh, that does,
Yeah.
okay,
These purposes,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
Including nutrition and health posters, signage and displays of cafeteria, food and dining
We
areas.
do have that.
Yep, providing developmentally appropriate and culturally relevant participatory activities such as contests, surveys, promotions, food demonstrations, taste testing. I don't think that we are doing that. We could get better there, so. that
Can you
would-
read the heading again for me, please?
Providing developmentally appropriate and culturally relevant participatory activities.
Thank you.
Cafeteria design, decor challenges, farm visits, school gardens, we do. So we do some of that, I guess, yeah, we do. Offering information to families that encourage them to teach their children about health and nutrition and assist them in planning nutritious meals for their families.
Do we do that in our cooking classes?
I think in cooking, I mean, in food service classes, but also probably in the health curriculum, I think it goes
Like
home
the
with
plate.
that, yeah, yeah, and Jen's saying yes. And we do some of these things, looking at you, Jennifer, and our nurses, right?
Yes.
In all of our health rooms, we have the nutrition signs and, yeah.
Do school counselors do it as well, or is it pretty much food service and nurses, health class,
And
foods classes?
I think the counselors do it,
Yeah.
probably on an as needed basis.
Is it also included in like a SEL? Like what, an advisory or other places? Sometimes if we have a canned program, it'll be in there too.
Mhm.
We are doing something at the high school and advisory with
Yeah.
the body and ancient
Yep.
food choice and things like that coming up. Yep, so it does happen.
Can the Devil's Cafe do a program on it?
It's a great name for a cafe, by the way.
Huh?
A great name for a cafe.
Yeah.
I will check.
Want really hot food in there.
Yeah.
All hot.
I know, hot and spicy.
Very much like myself.
Partnering with community health agencies or organizations for school wellness. That's Okay, thank you. Now we're moving on to physical activity. Offering staff wellness activities and professional development opportunities related to health and nutrition that inspire school staff to serve as role models and practice healthy eating, physical activity, and other activities that support staff and wellness. Awful.
Through our insurance company.
Right.
Right? Through our benefits.
Yes, actually, yes.
We used to embed it maybe better,
Mhm.
in our professional learning days. We had some breakout, sessions, half hours for a wellness walk and things like that. So we might wanna, we've done that in the past. We might wanna revisit that again.
I've got that on the list after
Yeah.
Devil's Cafe.
Yeah.
Yoga sessions.
Yeah,
we do
we did some
Wednesday
different
yoga,
things, yeah.
Okay, great.
You could also, your EAP provider could do some of those wellness related trainings.
That would be nice.
I could
Good to know.
connect you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the person who does those trainings for you, if you like.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah, I know, I'm looking at, thank you, yes,
Yes, please.
yes. No, that's great.
Yeah,
That didn't
yeah.
even occur to me.
Yeah,
Sponsoring health fairs, TV turnoff weeks, school-supported races, family wellness activities, or family day activities that promote health and wellness.
Yeah, and we don't have to
So
run
run.
TV off. We have our running programs and our,
After school.
after school clubs and activities and
Elementary
go
school.
for
We also, Go Far is going, and we also have the fun runs.
fun ones, yeah.
But we did talk recently at leadership team about Screen Free Week, which I think is April, National Screen Free Week. And we started talking about doing more that week because, not just for this reason, but because we started talking about cybersecurity, and we talked about having 1 or 2 days of school where there's absolutely no technology as like a trial run. If anything ever happened and we still had kids coming in, we still need to teach and feed people and take attendance and communicate home. So like it could be something that we combine with Screen Free Week. Yeah.
Okay, sending school newsletters or dedicated parts of newsletters or school websites promoting healthy eating, healthy recipes, and physical activity. I think we can beef that up on the food service website too. Okay.
Beef it up.
Beef it up.
I see what you did there.
I see that. All right,
Not
let's see.
necessarily healthy.
Encouraging and promoting the use of Let's Move or other healthy initiatives that promote physical activity and healthy eating.
They have them. I don't think it's Let's Move.
Yeah,
But
if it's
other definitely,
other-
it's a name brand.
Right. Completing and reporting the results of the school health index self-assessment process to assess the extent, while some or all components of the local school wellness policy are being implemented by the schools.
Yeah, we have to do that for the wedding piece, right? School health, we did that together, I think. Last time.
Did you say?
School health index, there's a assessment and did that last time. We went through the RFP process.
What is the school health index?
I think that's the food services self-reflection,
Yes.
self-check. Yeah.
Let's see, using the Centers for Disease Control school health guidelines to promote healthy eating. Yes, we do that. Setting minimum physical education requirements, including time, frequency, and intensity. Setting maximum student to teacher ratio for physical education classes. Setting minimum requirements for recess, including amount of time and scheduling of recess time. Requiring recess to be outdoors if possible. Encouraging walking and biking to school through safe route programs.
We've never done that.
Yeah.
Because our roads are safe.
Yes, there's no sidewalks.
So we don't do that.
We did, however, do a bike safety program at the middle school.
Nice.
We did what we could.
There is an organization, Safe Streets, I think, or Safe Route to School or something, where they encourage biking to school, or it's not even that, they can do a safe bike, like kind of
Like
assembly or
a
something.
radio.
And they've reached out to us. So we could look into that.
And again, we haven't promoted any of that, because anytime you drive down 147.
And it's dark, like if.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of those bike rodeos are
Yeah.
really fun, you know, the bike safety rodeos and getting the safe streets and the PD involved and things like
Yeah,
that.
and it just happens on campus, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
On the roads.
And they like set up little,
The obstacle
Yeah,
courses,
yeah.
they have challenges,
Yeah.
prizes.
Yeah.
You can win a helmet. and-
Yeah, I noticed they would be interested in doing something with us. It's just always been one finding the time.
Yeah.
Creating after-school activity programs, student health council and community family programs that encourage healthy habits. I mean, we do have after-school activity programs. Running club is gonna start. We have other activity programs. We don't have a student health council. Scheduling school meals at appropriate times and appropriate settings, marketing healthy foods in a way to increase its appeal, giving students and the community after-school access to school activity facilities, prohibiting use of physical activity as punishment, and prohibiting withholding of physical activity as punishment. So both ways. Okay. So-
I have a question.
No keeping in kids for recess.
Right. Where'd it go? Oh, what's our earliest, lunch weight? Like, I imagine it would be in the middle school because
I would have to check.
yeah, I'm just curious. I know I had lunch at 10:31. So
I
next
think it's early. I think it's early
Yeah.
and strong this year,
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
lunch waves, because of the extra.
Yeah, because my kid does keep complaining.
Yeah.
I think it is like 10:30 or like
11 was
10:30,
11
right?
o'clock, yeah.
That they want dinner at 4:30.
Well-
Pretty much, yeah, you know, they come home.
I get I know that I taught in a school once where they did that, but then for that grade, they built in a snack
Snack.
time.
Yeah.
Like later in the day so that they had something.
Yeah,
We'll definitely be experiencing earlier lunchways with the new building in middle
Yeah.
school as well.
Yeah.
Presumably about 4 lunchways. I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
We're planning on 3, I think.
Three.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's gonna be,
Yeah.
it's bigger space. I think the earlier lunch wave is just for the interim
Right.
configuration. And it's primarily at Strong. That's the big difference.
Mhm.
Because if they need the 4
Right.
waves in Strong cafeteria, as you know, Jamie, is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't fit multiple grades in there at once.
they also don't like the new tables.
They don't?
We're keeping the round
Oh.
tables that were there.
Oh, they are like, I think, I don't know, they have this whole configuration thing. Actually, I really love how they've been using their math skills,
Nice.
you know, to figure this out. So I just. you know.
What
They're
are they?
tables
Yeah.
in their individual seats, so you can only have 6 or 8 kids at a table.
Yep.
And so if you have 9 friends, or, you know, if they're in
Yeah.
like the groups of kids, like
Yeah,
have
I
to
think it's
maneuver.
less
Yeah.
than what was there. And they were like, yeah, we still kept breaking them. Like, well, did you keep breaking?
Aren't these the ones that were there then?
Yeah.
Because there was a thought of getting long rectangular tables and we talked about it because one, round tables are better for volume in a
Yeah.
cafeteria, like they really
Yep.
decrease the overall volume. And 2, they're much better for like social interaction.
Yeah.
So we did have a couple of the long rectangular tables in there and Dave and Noel noticed pretty quickly that there were kids like sitting alone at the end of the table. So the round tables really make a
Yep.
social difference.
Yes.
And they fold, they're
Yeah.
easier to
Yeah.
clean,
Yeah.
they're easier to set up.
Mhm.
And there's no reason why you need to have more than 6 kids at a table.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Yes.
the more kids you have going through puberty in the same place,
Mhm.
Yeah.
more opportunity for hijinks.
Another physical activity thing that's really successful at the high school level I work at, the military branches do come in on a regular basis, all of them, including National Guard. And they seem to have a lot of money to give out bling and little toys, but they make them work for it and the kids love it. I mean, everything from, they have a setup where they can do pull-ups and push-ups and more. There's multiple activities and the kids absolutely love it. So they eat their lunch, they go over there, you see packs of them crowding around because they can get a pen or a pair of sunglasses or. So yeah, rewards certainly are helpful too, as we know, but you know, it does get the kids moving. And some kids who might otherwise be embarrassed to move will do it because they're just like, wow, this is fun, you know, that's great to see.
They have been here before. I don't know how often
Mhm.
they come, but. yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. I guess the other thing, the last thing would be eliminating the use of food as a reward.
Mhm. So I made a list of just some follow-up things, so just make sure that I got everything, is that we'll look into Devil's Cafe. We can do some more staff wellness activities. We can do better with that. We're gonna look into more of the screen-free week options. We will beef up the healthy eating information on food service website. Look into safe streets and bike rodeos, and then I'm really interested in maybe creating a student health council. If we don't have one, I think that could be a really nice student group to work with.
Yeah, and I'll actually ask Mark to do some more contests and
Yeah.
things in his time to it.
Did I miss anything?
Oh, I was gonna say, and if you want, so your EAP provider, we have a new vice president of training and organizational effectiveness.
Mhm.
So we do like a ton of like, you know, like health fairs, but we do like orientations, but even at, like on a PD day, like there could be, you know, like a breakout where they could do like different types of, like I said, like stress management, emotional intelligence, like all those types of trainings, like if you want. But like she can also just have like even like a table where just like people could come and ask for EAP services, like the information. So we do a ton of that. So she started 2 months ago, so I can put you in contact with
Yeah,
her.
if you need any.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, these things can be associated with getting lower premiums on insurance. If you have some sort of wellness program,
Yeah.
then people think about taking care of themselves. If you're, you know, considered a high user, that doesn't mean good things for your insurance premiums.
Yeah.
And, you know, every entity is different, but.
Speaking of snacks, did the snacks make it down your way? Yeah.
Was that good?
You're good. Okay.
Jamie's hoarding all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's today.
I can't make them accurate.
All right, thank you, Kim. Anything else on number 4?
No,
All right, so we're gonna move on to number 5, which is review of beginning of the year behavior data, and I turn that over to Sydney.
All right, so this is, this is officially our first school district climate committee meeting under the new Connecticut school climate law. Yeah, so we can pass these around. I only need 7, so I think somebody might need to share. Okay, you can share this way. So a couple of things with this are, one is I'm going to, at every meeting, I'll wait until everybody has it. At every meeting, I'm going to share this data from the last time that we met. So you should probably get this 3 times a year, you know, because you'll get it during the school year. Hopefully we won't be, reporting behavior incidents over the summer. But the first thing with this is I'll be giving you, this is a platform that we use called Linkit. And Linkit is something that we're just starting to use, and we just created a behavior referral form. So whenever any teacher, paraeducator, principal, anybody reports a behavior incident, it gets entered into Linkit. And this is the first time, I'm kind of proud to say, this is the first time I think we've had, Jen, correct me, if we've had a K through 12 system where we can look consistently at the data K through 12.
Yeah,
Or, okay.
well, we used to do it manually.
Manually, yeah. So this is the first time we've had a system where we can compare the data. So the other data that I'm going to be giving you every meeting is the challenging behavior data. So the challenging behavior forms are something that came out from the state. And that's when we have like the very serious, maybe bullying, harassment, something that really causes or is alleged to cause an educational disruption. So what I want to ask you to think about while I'm taking you through this data is, are you okay with this, seeing the data this way? Are there any other pieces of data that we might have that you might like to see that we can give you? Obviously not confidential things, but do you want to see it in a different format or anything? And I'll get feedback on that after we go through it. But I'll start with the challenging behavior forms. We have had 2 challenging behavior forms submitted, investigated, and finalized. There was one at Brewster and one at Strong. And they one involved hands-on behavior with a student, and the other one involved for verbal harassment, followed by a second incident of eraser throwing. So those were the two challenging behavior forms that were submitted, fully investigated and closed out. And then before we go into the data, I wanted to talk a lot about what we've done so far. School climate is incredibly important to me. And I know that we are sort of building the plane while we're flying it because it's the very first time that all schools are doing this. So we're trying to reach out to other schools, get information. But we've worked really hard so far this year at our Restore the Core. So restorative practices and going back to the core ethical values. And we added the core ethical values into the behavior form. So every time that there's a behavior referral, whoever's making the referral is required to check which of the core ethical values they feel was violated. So that we can really always bring it back to those core ethical values and see where we need to have more of a focus. And the other thing that we've done a lot of work on, and I'll ask Jen if she wants to say anything more because she was in some of the small groups, but we've done a lot of work with restorative practices. So there was a required training for every educator in Connecticut, and we did that at the beginning of the year. So everybody had the basic training of restorative practices. But we've followed that up with a couple of small group restorative practice sessions to go to a deeper level. For example, the last one was all administrators and school counselors were in a session together, going to that next level of how to really run that second level of a restorative circle. And they said, it was really valuable because they all got to be together and be on the same page and start talking the same language. I don't know if you want to say anything about restorative in general. Yeah.
No, I just had, said to Linda right before we started, I think that, this presenter, and trainer was, I think collectively, we all felt like had really good, just a good focus, nice presentation, very interactive, was able to answer, a lot of questions we had about the practical implementation of circles and took us to the next level than we've had prior to having Chris. And we really got a lot of useful insight from her and practical strategies on how to use circles, when to use them. You know, it took us to the next level. We were very, you know, as a group, we were very appreciative of this training. So, and then, you know, across the board, everybody stated that we'd like to have her again come back and even like as a consult, right? Help us do the circle. Or this is our problem. Here's the setup, you know, to help us with one that we really want to utilize in real time. And that was and yeah, that was our.
This is the same one that we used.
Yeah.
I think so.
Excellent.
With their heart on her sleeve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was,
So it's fantastic. So what we have here is you'll have the district-wide incident report. So this, the top, you'll have the overview. That's the one that's in color, is the incidents by school, the incidents by grade level. Then we have the incidents by location, which really helps us out. Like, where do we need to focus our efforts? I was actually surprised to see how few were in the cafeteria. I thought there would be more there. In the playground, those were a little bit lower than I expected. And some basic concerns reported. So these are all of the options that are in Linkit. When it says none, it means that it was something really specific and they had to write it in individually. So it's categorized by disrespect, disruption, insubordination, inappropriate language, cell phone violation, left class without permission, verbal aggression, and plagiarism and cheating. So it's broken down that way. And this is whole school. This is K through 12. And then on the next page, you can see the core ethical
This is
values violated.
basically against the teacher, or is it against anybody else?
It could be anybody. It could be disrespect against another student, against a teacher, parent, anybody.
Can I also ask what constitutes as an incident?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because, you know, if it's inappropriate language, like I could see, you know, myself slipping up and saying something. So I wouldn't think that that would be an incident versus, you know, I guess like kind of where's the line in the sand?
It's part of the vernacular.
It would be a violation of the handbook, of each school's
Okay, so,
handbook.
all right, so violation of the handbook
Yeah.
would constitute as. an
If we say
incident.
that this is verbal, you know, if this is inappropriate language, every school is gonna have something about what inappropriate language is. And developmentally, it might be a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true,
Yeah.
kindergarten versus
Yeah.
12th grade, yeah.
But you know, disrespect can be a whole lot of things,
Yes.
which is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
honestly, that's why that's the biggest
Right.
category. Then on the next page, you can see the core ethical values violated. I would say there's actually a nice correlation there
Yeah,
between the fact
yeah.
that disrespect is the highest and respect is the core ethical value. So I would say that our form is actually built correctly, if we're saying that. And then I broke it down by school. So like if you're looking at Brewster, you can see the breakdown, grade level and where it happens. You can see at Brewster School, we have a lot of bus behaviors, and that's number one. And, I'm not gonna read through all of them, obviously, but at Lyman, you'll see that again, bus is big, and then grade 4 has the most, but it's also only 9. You know, so it looks like a lot, but it's also only 9 reported incidents. And, Frank Ward Strong Middle School, the 8th grade, I think is having maybe a reckoning in terms of behavior. And I was looking at that one and thinking we have a new principal and assistant principal who are really working hard to set some high standards. And that, I believe, is probably a reflection of some of the data that we're seeing there. And then you'll see a little bit different data. I actually really liked the high school data. It doesn't go in order here. I'm not sure why it printed out that way, but I like how you have 14 for 9th grade, 16 for 10th grade, a reduction to 11 and 11th and 7 for 12. Like it kind of gives me hope that as they're getting older, they're kind of, you know, we can hope, right? That's the right direction.
Dare to dream.
And most of them are happening in the general classroom everywhere. So I do think that when you're looking at this, I think it's interesting that grade 8 and kindergarten both stick out if you're looking at the whole school, right? So kindergarten is really learning
They're
about,
learning how to school.
yes, and so there's probably some more referrals that are happening there. And then 8th grade, I really do think that, you know, with a new administration and I have to tell you, I have no bias. I don't know anything about the 8th grade class, so, you know, I don't honestly. So, this gives us good data in terms of looking into what can we do for them? What can we do for those 8th grade students?
Sydney, I just want to make sure that when we're looking at the incidents by grade on the first page, it says first grade first, and then it goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And-
bottom.
yes.
But that's
I don't
accurate,
know why
right? So. and then back
It's
to
accurate
K.
data. I don't know why it printed
Okay.
that way. I'll
That's
have to
okay. I
look.
just want to make sure that it didn't.
It's
Yes.
definitely in the pivot settings.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, like with that.
No, I just wanted to make sure that it was.
Nerd.
Cause like, yeah, cause I immediately went to like, I know, it's the finance, it's the CFO and the.
You're absolutely right. You know, and I noticed that with the high school one first.
Yeah, like looking at strong,
Yep.
you know, then in particular side by side, I'm like, oh, like she made clearly the focus needs to be the middle school,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, they all need to be a focus, I shouldn't say that, but.
Yeah.
I have like a couple thoughts that I just wrote
Yes.
down. I think I would also really like to see how many students were affected, so like an incident
Mhm.
could be 3 or 4 students,
Offender
it
type
could be.
of thing, yeah.
I think it would be helpful to know how many students are involved. in-
Those would be individual, so I think those are reflected in here. So like if 3 students are involved in doing something inappropriate,
Yeah.
all 3 of them get an entry.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so like there were, okay, so.
So these are by students.
Then would want the opposite then, so then it'd be helpful, because if you're saying that there were 51 students involved in incidents in
Mhm.
8th grade, it could have just
It'd
been
been 25.
25 incidents, and
right.
then, I mean, it all is valid, but it's like, oh, well, then it's like, well, it doesn't look as bad as like, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, 51 incidents, like
Mhm.
that's a lot, and we're, you know, towards the end of November, but really it could have been half of that, because there could have been 2 kids in every incident.
So even if we get bands that say, so percentage of those were, or number, I don't know,
Yeah,
but with 1 referral. Percentage of people with 2 to 4, and then 5 or more.
Yeah,
So like, I'm trying to figure out data wise how we would do
Yeah.
it, right? So we would go by kid. And then see how many incidents that individual kid had, or.
I think you look at
You wanna
the-
see how many are in the same incident, right?
No,
No?
if you look at, and there's 50 incidents,
Mhm.
how many students are represented in that 50?
I think you guys are talking about two different things.
Yeah, I think
Correct
so
me if I'm
too.
wrong,
Yeah,
because we talked about that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like 51 of these incidents could be the same 5 kids. Right, and so
Yeah,
you wanna
that
know
one.
if it's
Okay.
one incident with 5
Two.
kids,
Yeah.
and you wanna know if it's.
Yes.
Um,
I-
if
but
it's
like
the
you're
same
too.
kid in all of the incidents.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
kid
Yeah.
one, I can easily do. I can
Okay.
easily do that one. I think it's gonna be harder by incident,
Okay.
right? Because I think if somebody's inputting data, they would have to have a field that would say how many other students were involved in this incident, and then I don't know if we'd be able to match them.
Right,
That's hard.
unless it gives a number that it just uses on the back end, that the platform uses. Right, like you may not know, they call it incident 12861.
Mhm.
yeah, like,
But it's,
yeah.
but each form is separate by
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't pick up the same number,
Okay.
like, let's
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
how we might be able to do it. I just can't think in my head data wise how we would be able to connect that. The kid one I can do in a heartbeat.
And I'm also fine with too, like, it's the first year, so sometimes you have to like live
Yeah.
with the data for a
Yeah,
year
this
and
is-
then
yeah.
start to tweak it,
Yeah.
so that's also fine, but
This is
That
the
was
first
one
time with
thing.
this referral thing, right? So
Yeah.
people could be going wild with it, right? Or maybe some people haven't started using it yet, like it hasn't become regular practice yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one, and then I noticed in terms of basic concerns, I guess surprised that we don't have a box for one, like vaping or
Those are in
Smoke.
escalated.
those are an escalated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. And then I would assume physical aggression would then be in
Escalated.
escalated,
Mhm.
and which would be
Actually, I'm,
escalated? Or maybe it's under none, I guess.
you know what, let me check, again, this is why we're doing this. We do have a field for escalated and I may not have pulled that field.
Oh, okay.
That's my fault.
All right,
But I'll make sure that I pull escalated next time. Because we wanted, and that was something we talked about, is that we wanted a system K through 12, right? And the things that the elementary are reporting on are so different. So we have a basic and then we have an escalated.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So I'll make sure I pull out escalated.
okay.
I do wonder how often we have problems with students actually showing up to class. We have to be proactive at reporting missing students right away, have a Google form. Then if they do actually show up, we call security and say, okay, cancel that one. But, yeah, frequently there's frequent flyers, but that can be a real cause. I don't know if that's an issue at Coggan or not, but.
Well,
It's tracked.
Are there a lot of
Yes.
good hiding places here? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we
definitely
have a
don't
good
SROs,
hall pass
but usually
system,
have some.
right?
Yeah, we have the hall pass system, plus everybody takes attendance for every class.
Yeah.
And so class attendance is taken and tracked. And so, you know, if there's a discrepancy between the daily attendance when they're leaving, right? And I think it's reported out to
I see a late in
to
class.
parents in real time as well, too. So, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, kind of going off the SRO point, that was my last note that I wrote was, it would be interesting to know how many incidents required the SRO to intervene in any sort of capacity.
Yeah.
You know, because then I also think then it kind of could potentially show that value as well.
Yeah, I get those reports from the SRO and the trooper he reports to monthly. So I can incorporate those as long as they don't violate any confidentiality.
Just say like.
Because
just a
sometimes it's so
number.
few, right,
Yeah.
that everybody knows, like, just be
Okay,
careful
yeah.
of that. So usually that's presented annually.
Yeah.
Would this committee be okay with annual
Or
for that?
maybe quarterly. If
Okay.
it was or maybe we can have some sort of guideline that says like, if it's less than 5, we don't report. Or something, just to avoid any potential,
Violation.
perception.
Small town, sometimes
Yes,
everybody
right,
knows
yeah,
everything.
right, and that's what I was, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
I have a couple-
For physical injury.
mhm. That would be physical aggression.
couple of, do we do anything, especially for the littles, to intentionally instruct on bus behavior?
We have been trying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Buses have been a bit of a challenge for, particularly, and you see it, it's correlated perfectly here, the fourth grade and kindergarten.
Because of the transition.
Mhm.
So another
It's
thought,
transition and that's where there's
Yeah.
been a lot of activity.
do we think any of that, or should we look into, is any of that related, or is it, you know, an outlier based on how some kids have really long, well, longer, I'm not gonna say really long, but have longer rides now with our new configuration? I'm just wondering if there's a correlation there, and that would be more informative than anything.
Well, I know that Kim watches a lot of bus videos, and I think things can happen in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know.
They're
like-
rough.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can check into that, but
Yeah,
I think
I'm
like,
just wondering.
and we have talked a lot about bus behavior. I've talked to the principals about doing restorative circles about buses
Yeah.
and community building restorative circles before you get to the next level, but buses have definitely been a highlight.
I also want to, anyone, for us and for anyone who may watch the video later, every district is doing this now, right?
Yes.
And so you're gonna hear a lot of data.
Yeah.
And I think what's really important before we try to compare one district to another is the fact that every district creates their own. It's not a state process to identify what the level of incidents are, how they're ranked and everything. So whenever the data becomes available and when people start comparing, we have to be very careful because it's going to be apples to oranges, because not everybody, no, I guarantee you, can I don't know, that no one else is going to align them to our core ethical values. If they do, it's going to be by, you know, happenstance that they happen to have the same
Right.
ethical values. But so that's one thing I just want to say, as we start seeing more and more data, and I've noticed that people in our district like to compare to the non-existent ERG, or to HK, and it's like, you can't do that, it's apples and oranges, so I didn't want to put that out there. And the other thing I want to say that I'm actually impressed with is, and I'm sure you have this at your high school level, but there's like an epidemic of elopement, right, of kids leaving.
Yeah.
And it's pretty impressive that they're only 7, like for district wide.
Yep.
That's a really low number,
It's
so.
like being here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good indicator of climate and of proactive climate and
And that actually could be one child.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say about the bus too.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
we have some inflation in inflated numbers
Yeah.
in certain areas, but.
Is there, and again, this year is gonna be a learning year. Is there anything else that you would wanna see in these data reports? I've got my list of the things we talked about so far.
Will you eventually compare versus like a previous quarter or month? Cause I'm just wondering too, like, as you see the restorative practices come into
Right.
place, it'd be nice. Start of the school year is probably always a little bit rougher, and then hopefully,
Yeah.
as new principals are strong, you kind of would see it slowly decline.
Yeah, so every time, that's the beauty of doing this at every meeting, is that by the time we have our next meeting, it should be about 3 months from now,
Okay,
right? So
yeah,
we'll do
so
3 month,
like-
3 month, 3 month, and then
Yeah.
we'll get an annual overview, so we can see how
Yeah.
things are progressing.
That would be good to see.
Sometimes there is, just a spoiler alert, sometimes there is an uptick in the spring.
of course.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Any other questions on
Is there any reporting on the results of these incidents?
Yeah, and I have that, and I contemplated putting that in, but it's really hard data to look at, and it also could be a real privacy issue. Obviously, almost all of them have something in there with restorative. Everybody's doing restorative. So like, if you look at the Brewster data, because I looked at the outcome from there, everything's restorative, right? But then for other ones, it can vary from lunch detention to after-school detention to meeting with parents, to conference, to contact with school counselor, like all of those other kind of things. I mean, I can play with it. I'm not sure, one, about privacy issues, and two, if we'd get much from that data, because it's really going to be so kid individualized and incident individualized.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to know that there are some consequence that we're dealing with. Well,
Everyone has one, like, so in,
I don't know how you tell us about it though, that's.
I'll try and find a
Obviously,
way.
Number of detentions, number of suspensions or something,
Yeah.
I don't know
Mhm.
if that changes. much.
Well, we have to report to the state, the
The
suspensions.
Expulsions.
And I also, and I'll throw this out here, that's kind of counter to what their sort of practices are, right?
Sure.
So I don't
But-
know that,
See it
yeah,
now.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I think that the danger in that or the challenge in that is that people often want a pound of flesh.
Yeah.
And it's like, the first step is learning, right? The first step is this is an opportunity for the student to learn about the behavior. And so sometimes what we may consider a consequence, it doesn't happen because there's no detention, there's no intervention like that. However, the student sat down, they were counseled, they met with the, as an offender, they met with the impacted people and all that. Those are consequences, but they're not punishments. And so that's what I think what we want to be very clear when we're talking about this and with restorative practices, that a consequence, they all got a consequence.
Mhm.
And so 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, ISS and OSS are kind of a last resort these days. The restorative practices take hold first.
Yeah.
I do believe there's people who actually want to be repeat offenders, so they can not be in class. And, then we have to look at what's the reason why you want to be in class. Is it other kids? Is it just can't stand school? I mean, there's so many reasons it could happen. But yeah, at some point it does morph into ISS and OSS.
Mhm.
I have one last quick question, because I just thought of it with all the comments and then the comment about the elopements. Does that would that include like a disabled child who has a tendency to elope? Like, would that be reported? Because then I think it could sway the results.
It would, if it's not part of the child's program.
Okay.
Part of their
So if-
plan or
right, so
program.
if that's part of their FBA or behavior plan,
Okay.
their individualized education. If there's a medical plan or
Yeah.
an intervention plan, probably not.
Okay. Yeah, because I do think that
Yes.
that could sway it, so I would think it would be
But I
excluded.
will say, we don't have, even with that, we don't have a lot of elopement
Yeah.
in district. I'm happy to say, and that's a pretty good number of even, yeah. That's right. Yes, that's a pretty good estimate of totality.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, we have a hard stop at 5
We
because
do,
of the building
'cause there's
committee,
no-
so this has been a great conversation and I appreciate the data. But we're gonna move on to number 6, the review of the school climate guidelines.
Right, so this is really just for, hopefully you all have access to those. And I wanted to just draw attention to the purpose of these is that, again, every district across Connecticut is doing the same thing. This is a draft of where these guidelines are. I would like everybody to review them very carefully so that at the next meeting, one of our agenda topics is really going into the guidelines and seeing what kind of changes we want to make, what else we want in there. I would like our goal to be that we have one very thorough, complete document, everything school climate related. Everything, the forms to the purpose, to links to everything. So that's going to be the goal. And I'd love your feedback at the next meeting about where we need to go with our start.
And it's in the school district climate committee shared folder. Do you have access?
I do.
Yeah, good. And so it's in there at under 1119. It's my brother's birthday. You might. And so it's in there for us to take a look at before the next time.
Did you miss his birthday? It was yesterday.
No, today.
Today.
Let's say the 19th. Today's the 19th.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, don't scare me like that.
You did miss my birthday though, it was Saturday.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday. Is that it for the school climate?
That's it.
All right, look at that. That's my favorite agenda item. So number 7, again,
Yeah, so again, since we're just creating this committee, I want everybody to start thinking about what do you, like, we know we're gonna talk about the data every single time. What else would you like to have as a regular meeting topic? And what else do you want to have, we know the months that we have these meetings. Are there specific things that you want to have happen each month? And again, that's for next agenda, but I wanted to make sure that's on everybody's radar, is that what do you want to, and obviously things are going to come up that are gonna be on the agenda, but what do we want to standardize in this process as a committee for each meeting and then specific months?
One thing that I think I would, and I will think more on how to actually state it, but I'd like to hear what each building is doing, and a memo is fine, towards belonging.
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing? Because as we approach the holiday season, it's a minefield for some kids. And so what are we doing to help everybody feel as though they belong? And as I've said before, I think here is that belonging is actually a low bar. I want every kid to feel valued.
Mhm.
So what is each building doing to increase that sense of value?
I can't answer that for each building, but I can tell you that when we did a full annual calendar for restorative practices and core ethical values. And each month there's a target of a core ethical value. So there's 5 core ethical values, so they repeat. And like this month is kindness. I think next month is kindness too. So kindness repeats one after the other. And then there's a restorative practice focus each month about what everybody's going to do for a restorative practice. And then in each month, there's also a partner. So like last month, for example, responsibility was the focus, and we partnered with our local libraries. So all of our school libraries did something about responsibility and restorative practices. And then our Durham and Middlefield libraries also did something, like they did displays, they had books out, they did like kids reading sessions, something like that, just to reinforce that. And each month there's a partner like that. There is the September was belonging, I think. So I can get more information about what each schools are doing, but just district wide, that's what we set up for the year.
And I also want to say, that's not because I don't think it's happening. I know it's happening.
Mm.
Part of it is I hope the leaders recognize how in their day-to-day, they are already doing it.
Yeah.
And what are you doing above and beyond that? But I think that often school leaders don't give themselves credit for some of the things that they do because it's what they do, to realize that this is helping with that sense of belonging. And so now what can you do to jack it up a little bit?
You can get a very good sense walking to any building, visit another school, you get a sense whether there's a community there, are the teachers in the hallways, are they acknowledging kids, interacting, creating relationships, all that is like huge. And it's what we do, no
Right.
doubt.
It'd be nice to know if there's an improvement, what happened to make that improvement?
Yeah.
You know, if there's no less bus, is it because somebody's on the bus? Is it because
New driver.
new driver?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, shorter route, less kids, I don't know, but it'd be nice to know.
Restorative circle for
Yeah.
behavior,
Yeah.
how to ride a bus. I think
I hear.
somebody did a lesson on how to ride the bus earlier this year, didn't they?
Yeah.
We did, yeah, I think somebody did, yeah, we did.
But it'd be nice to know where there are signs of improvement, what caused that improvement, and then if it's going the other way,
Mhm.
what's going on.
What is going on? Yeah.
I think I do like that idea too, and what you're saying. On another note, I do think it's important that, you know, that the draft is just a draft, and there's samples of some surveys
Mhm.
in that draft. But I don't know if we want to look at, and Sydney and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do our survey and measure?
And we need a homegrown survey. That's
We-
something that we talked about.
Yeah.
We need to
So
look at the state samples,
some samples, but
and then we need to, make it what RSD 13 wants consistently for a survey moving forward.
and I
Still
don't,
do the old survey every 2 years, or not, it's gone.
well, we had, but we did it this past spring, but
Right.
now it's, now we can use that one, but we all wanted to update it for the past 3 years anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something we want to do as part of this committee, as part of this document, as part of a smaller group.
I think
ad hoc
this committee
type of-
definitely,
Yeah,
that'd be smaller group.
But I think we're gonna need to, if we're only meeting 3 times, we need to look at a couple dates to meet. with the participants who want to actually focus on that or some way to do it, whether it's through Google Docs or some format of how we're going to look at it. Because
Yeah.
if we're going to do it by the end of the year,
Mhm.
we
Right.
need to do,
Right.
we probably need to start.
And I would propose and am open to pushback and feedback that that's one of those things that comes to us
Mhm.
as a draft.
Yeah.
And then we give feedback or input.
Mhm.
And then just because, I mean, I'm happy, this is my jam, so I'm happy to work on it. But the idea of trying to schedule people to come and do it and a little. And so I think that I call it the accordion method, right, of it happening. And then we come together, look at it, and then it goes back out.
So we'll have a draft to you by the next meeting.
That's great.
Yeah. And then-
Again, unless somebody is very interested in being very proactive in helping create it. But if we have something to work with and then critique, criticize, and then it goes back out. I just
And
think
then it
it'll be
gets better.
faster. Right, right. I just think it's a faster process.
Yeah.
In the past, the survey went to students and faculty,
And parents.
parents,
Mhm.
and it's still, that's still the requirements of the.
Yeah. The biggest piece of feedback that we got is that people don't take it because it's not anonymous on a Google form.
Right,
So we bought SurveyMonkey, right? So, and this will be same for the strategic planning survey, is that we can guarantee that we're not collecting email addresses, we're not collecting IP addresses. So like,
That's a good-
hopefully
that's
we
a good
have,
start, yeah.
we hopefully have a better return rate of
Yeah.
people completing it. Because right now I know a lot of the data that, so the principals are all using the data to create their school climate team plans, which are sort of the subsections of this committee. And you know, it's not great data to look at. They've got like some have like 27% return rate.
Yeah.
You know,
I know a lot of the students are not truthful because they know that it's tracked.
So we can feel free to share, spread widely that we're not tracking anything and all, like SurveyMonkey doesn't do that unless we tell it to. And if we tell it to you, I think you can tell, right? So like everything's gonna be truly anonymous.
And our student return rate is excellent because
Yeah.
we do give it to them
Right.
during
Well,
class.
so that's what,
But if
yeah.
it's not valid,
Right.
then that's a
That's-
different issue.
they
So
don't
that's
do
a
it,
good
but they-
point. Yes.
And I do think that that's something that we can think about when administering the survey is, you know, having kiosks at concerts, at sporting events, at the library, wherever people may gather. Now, I know will they each have a individual login so they can't do multiple?
So what it does to prevent multiple, like you can't always prevent multiple,
Yeah.
but it'll say you can only complete the survey once per device. So like, if-
Oh, all right. So my idea of a kiosk will not work.
right, so you can't, like, I did have a community member once, like, go to the library and fill out a survey like
Yeah.
10 times on 10, like, but like
Yeah.
if they're taking that effort, we
Right.
really can't do much about
Right,
that.
right.
But like,
You can at least have QR codes at events
yes.
so that people can come and they can do
Yeah.
it that way.
So at home, if you, for example, want like 3 kids and 2 parents to fill it out, it's by each phone is different.
Yep.
A laptop is different, a Chromebook is different, like, so usually everybody has enough of a way to have different devices.
Also clear the cache. I'm just saying.
But we also can't, you can't have somebody just sit
Yeah,
there and.
okay. right.
I mean, I guess somebody could do that too.
Right.
But again, there's not much we can do to prevent that kind of effort.
Right, right.
I know we have a hard stop, so
Yeah.
I just want to mention one thing is, I mean, at one point, is there like a focus like on like bullying? I feel like that's clearly the number one thing that, you know, we hear from kids most likely, probably going on a slight assumption just from.
Those are the challenging behavior forms.
Oh, I just meant like in terms of what we want to focus on and talk about. I
Yeah.
think, like, I think that's probably every parent and child's, you know, true focus of like, okay, so what are we doing? So maybe even if it's just a few accomplishments or what the focus was like this past month, like,
Mhm.
I think that's what everybody, and that's clearly with the middle school, you know, that's what we want to know. Okay, like, well, what are we doing with these behaviors? I don't know what that language is, because I am obviously the numbers person since I didn't like the numbers.
And it's interesting because there's no more bullying law, right? So it's all
Yeah.
climate and
So, yeah,
challenging behavior.
So it's a
Yeah.
different, you know, whatever the language is,
Mhm.
I think it needs to be talked about like
Mhm.
at every meeting.
Yep.
All right, if anything comes up, as I like to call it, well, actually the French call it émoi escalier, which means on your way home, you realize you want to just, you know, shoot any one of us here an email.
Say that again.
mot d'escalier.
Okay.
It literally means a word of the stairway, like you're on your way out and you think of something that you wanna say.
Reflection.
Hey, Jamie, will you do me a favor and introduce yourself to the owl for our
Yes, thank you.
transcriptionist?
James Rohraback, 15
Or to
minutes
bed.
late, 15 minutes late. Go to bed, yeah.
That's it.
No, 4:14.
Oh, only 14. Good for you. All right, so again, if you have anything, let us know to add to our meetings. So we now open up for public comment.
There is one person online.
Excellent.
The person who is online, if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand and we'll bring you in for public comment. This is where we need the Jeopardy music. I don't see.
Just
any
happy to be
big
here.
raise.
Yeah.
No hand raised.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to my favorite item, number 9. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I'm really looking forward to the committee. I really think this committee is going to do a lot of good.
Yes.
So I